everybody, welcome to Forged in Aeternum. My name is Brian Patnode with Tracy, Ramil, and JR. Today we're going to be talking about FactionFest and the new CTF map that is coming out soon. Hey Tracy, can you tell us a bit about FactionFest?
Yeah, of course. So FactionFest is an event that we're going to host for the community end of this month, so June 27th through 29th. And it's an event that celebrates players engaging with mutated expeditions and regular expeditions. So it should be very fun. We revamped all of the expedition rewards ahead of this. Those revamps will stay live even after the event ends. We just wanted to make it a little more special. We heard feedback from the community that the awards weren't juicy enough, so we went did a big rework of it. So, but yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So how does it work exactly? So like you said, like you're engaging with the mutations and like what else?
So basically, just every day there'll be different challenges posted to a website specific to this event, and those challenges will outline like what we expect from players for that day, what we'll be measuring them on. So maybe that's like the number of runs they did, the number of kills and things like that. And we'll be posting updates to the website every hour about like how each faction is doing, and we'll just be totaling up the stats from their runs. And so whichever faction wins, each day gets a special reward. One day it's going to be titles, one day it's going to be skins. Factions will also get like special rewards in their faction shops and discounts.
So Tracy, what website are the stats going to be posted on?
We'll post a link at the bottom of this video in the description so folks can check it out.
Awesome.
So what do you guys have coming up?
Yeah, so we have another preview for the 4th of July weekend. We'll be previewing the wide map for Capture the Flag. The preview will run from 4th of July to July 7th. During the preview, we'll be displaying a corrupted map that, Brian, do you want to kind of touch on the art styles of it?
Yeah. I think I touched on it a bit last time. So initially we were only going to go out with one CTF map, and we really liked the one that is already out, the bridge map, and this one really balanced it. The bridge map was quite a bit more straightforward as far as the combat, like really you get thrust into conflict right off the bat, whereas this one is a bit more, it's wider, which is why we're calling it wide for right now, and a lot more strategic and everything. So, and also I think the visuals are a lot different. We use the Dynasty kit, which is sort of Imperial inspired and everything, and with the corruption and just a lot of different vibe visually than the last one out. So we had a lot of fun with it.
You mentioned that was called the wide map, and the other one's bridge, but we've actually named it, right? With the help of the community, it's called Frozen Pass is the chosen name.
That's a great touch point. So similar to the Frozen Pass map, we are encouraging our players to also help us name the wide map as well. Make sure you're engaging with us on Discord, with our community managers, and voting for the name you would like. So I think we talked enough about the map. Why don't we...
I have a question though. How did the last map do?
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
So the last map did really well. We saw a lot of community engagement. I think a couple things that are really interesting about this is like, I know with the bridge, you had your bottom layer, you had your top layer, right? So you could easily kind of just jump off. Where the middle lane in this one, it's obviously like a clear view with like a couple a set of line of sight blockers, but you also have this kind of barrier. So it's kind of almost inversed. If you flip the bridge map upside down, you kind of have the chasm in the middle and then the upper two levels. So this is almost like our unintentional flip to the map, where you have the middle lane will be your chasm. The top is more you're looking from top up above. But what's unique about this map is also you have a lot more jump pads as well as a lot more power ups as well.
There's more like playable space.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like and it like the first map, Frozen Pass, was vertical. Obviously, it had full playable space above and below. But even if you like unfolded it, like this map is much wider. Yeah. But like as I recall, like when we one of the goals of that map, of the new map, was that by being wide, you have like a straight pass, like going to the base, right? Like you do in Frozen Pass, but it's kind of like you're a sitting duck out there, right? Like there's so many places you can be like kind of perched above, like, you know, looking down in that center area. So it's actually the most risky path is to take that one. But there's the side paths have all sorts of like obstructions and things to like, you know, create more interesting like paths running the flag. Like that was really like what we wanted with that map was to emphasize like, you know, unique flag running paths. Yeah,
because we kind of saw this during our playtest where there were people who kind of snuck around the sides rather than going directly into the center path of where conflict normally is, which was really cool. And the really interesting part is also the jump heads are placed in a way that you could actually cross the map pretty well compared to the bridge map. So you could go from your side lanes all the way to the center points, which is really interesting as well.
I'm really interested to see how once more players get their hands on this map, where the conflict, like where the best sort of the routes end up being, where the conflict spots end up being, because again, compared to the bridge, it's like you go straight forward and you're trying to get to the other side.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, because when we saw the heat map of where the player interactions were mostly happening for the bridge map, you could see that it was right in that middle strip that we had. On the side ones, it was a lot less. It was more like, oh, someone got knocked off or someone's trying to get the power up or something like that. But most of the action was happening in the strip. What I anticipate with the wider map is that you're going to have more of a distributed heat map on this, where engagements are happening overall kind of spread out. They're not being focal to the center point. So it's going to be really interesting what kind of different lanes people pick. And I think that's a good transition to just talking about some of our general data points that we learned from our last preview for the bridge map, and I think Tracy has some stats that we can go over as well. So why don't we go ahead and do that next?
Yeah, so there was a lot of engagement with the last map. For the last CTF preview, around 13% of all players who were online for that preview weekend participated in the mode. And if you combine the total number of new players and recaptured players who had churned previously, it's around like 30% of all the players that were online that week. So players are pretty interested in the mode. So, and that is despite the fact that we did have some issues with the queue that weekend. But it sounds like we're going to fix that for the next preview.
Yes, absolutely. And those are really encouraging numbers with the queuing issues. So I know there were some queuing issues where players were unable to get in the match even after accepting it. We have addressed them now. So for the preview, that fix is out. So everyone who does matchmake and accept will be getting into a match. So that's going to be definitely looking to monitor those numbers to help them grow as well. We looked at some of the statistics on just player win ratios on different group sizes. The balance between players who single player duos or 3-player queues were pretty well balanced. There was about a 4% increase in win rates when you went in as 4-player. But the biggest drastic change we saw was about 59% of the matches that a 5-person group joined were the groups were winning, which felt a little lopsided. So one of the changes we are trying out this time for the preview is we created a separate queue for anyone that's joining as a 5-person group to see how we can kind of balance those numbers out a little bit, give more balanced gameplay. Brian, do you want to talk to us about some flag metrics?
I'd love to, Ramil. Let's see. I believe it was about 12 flags captured per map. A third of those were returned for scores. The power-ups were about even with the health and the damage, but the speed boost was about 3 times bigger than both of those. So it seems people really dug the speed increase.
Yeah, especially because it's going to let you get across the map very quickly.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Going off that, why don't we expand it and kind of go into more of the weapon stats? Do you want to kind of talk to us about the weapon metrics that we saw for CTF?
Yeah, sure. So like in all of our modes, we look at usage as well as win rates. For CTF, the most popular 3 weapons were the sword, which makes sense with like tanky builds being
definitely
really good in CTF. Fire Staff, also not surprising given the state of our PvP.
Fire Staff is not OP, okay?
No, I know. And then Void Gauntlet was the third one. So, but interesting fact is that none of those 3 weapons are actually the most winning weapons in the mode currently. The top 2 are the Hatchet and the Ice Gauntlet. So Hatchet, largely probably because of the speed boost that Berserk gets, and then you have social distancing. These are 2 abilities that we might potentially cause to drop the flag, much like we did with some other abilities that were being used, to carry the flag a little more, quickly than we want. To kind of, and the goal there is obviously to encourage as many weapons as possible to be viable for running the flag. So we'll be looking for weapons that are picked like too commonly, and because we don't want the meta to become stale, right?
Yeah.
And then for Ice Gauntlet, like Entombed is an ability that most likely will need to drop the flag because that's super trolly to be able to just have the flag and then just like you can't kill me anymore. Sorry. So.
Yeah, and obviously we are not going to make any changes for the preview weekend, but we are still monitoring everything to make sure we make these modifications before the Season 9 release for CTF itself.
That's it for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us. For our community question for this week, we'd like to know what you guys' favorite game mode is. Please stack rank between Barebones, OPR, Arenas, and CTF in your comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in Aeternum.
Did you guys do the right wave?
This one is a new weapon where it's going to be a hatchet. When you throw it, it shoots pistols. Give us some stats on this.
What?
We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.